It is like being in Korea.
Right now?
Yes, I'm just looking at Chorwon Valley.
Johon Valley.
Chorwon
Chia.
Valley.
Uh-huh. Valley.
Chorwon
Uh-huh.
Valley. On the last day of 1952, I was invited by Warrant Officer Resto,
Mm-hmm.
his first sergeant, and his company clerk. On my side was Sergeant Rivera Santiago, the driver, and myself. And we were just talking about family.
Mm-hmm.
Resto was talking about family. And there were three tiers, a tier here, tier there, until 12 midnight. That I thought about my family, but I'll see them again. And that's part of life.
We're going to be celebrating the Congressional Gold Medal, the Borinqueneers Congressional Gold Medal is going to be unveiled soon. And we've been talking tremendous stories. You were the Sergeant Major of the 65th Infantry during the Korean War, or one of them. And now we're gonna be unveiling this medal. How does that make you feel right now, 19 and 2016? How do you feel about that?
I feel proud. I feel happy. I feel that this medal should have been awarded to the 65th way before that by General MacArthur. On the other hand, I feel sad.
Sad.
I'm very sad. There's so many.
Why?
There's so many that wouldn't be able to see the gold medal. There's so many that never came back.
I think the sad part is there's so old people who don't really care or pay attention to all the sacrifices. It's sad because so many people say that people like you sacrifice so much, yet they do so little to keep the memory of your service alive. People who should have been doing it a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, being Sergeant Major of a regiment and combat, way back, 1952, 1953, 65th Infantry Regiment, it was more than just being a Sergeant Major.
What do you mean?
You're part of those individuals that happen to be there. Many times they show up and you turn into an advisor many occasions. And people are talking about giving orders and giving instructions, and out of a sudden you you change your position and you're helping people, giving a hand.
Being a sergeant major puts you in the upper ranks of leadership, and it also, you're kind of like a liaison to the lower ranks of military service in combat. In those positions, you have to do a lot of things to help your commanders, and a lot of things to help your enlisted lower ranks. What was that like?
That was a full-time job. When I say full-time job, it's a 24-hour job. Korea was 410 days, and that's a long time. The position of sergeant major is a fourth position on the administrative section, and that is the commanding officer, the executive officer, the adjutant, and the sergeant major. And it's a position that you have to give more than what you usually do in any other position. It's not just being the sergeant major, it's so many people. It's 4,400 people on a regiment that you in a way happen to be responsible. You feel it inside.
the thing that gets me when I think about this is that the unit went there, and normally when units go to combat, they spend a year or maybe a year and a half, or but the 65th, from the day it got there, it did not leave until the war ended and then some, because the unit just stayed there. Yet there were so many reliefs of commands and all these things, but the unit was there all that time. I mean, how? I just cannot. What do you think about that?
The 65th Infantry was the best within the best, and that's why they kept the 65th so long.
And how does it happen that the son of a President Eisenhower ends up in the 65th? What happened there?
He was not in 65th. He was in the battalions. He was in division.
Division.
He was in the division, but he showed up exactly before the split. And that's the way I call it.
Right.
The split between Puerto Ricans and Spanish speaking and English speaking.
What do you mean? Please expand on that. The split. What do you mean?
Okay, it was supposed to be integration, because the 65th was segregated unit. It was only from Puerto Rico. And then by that time, that's when the idea of integration, English speaking within the Spanish speaking. But the situation is that the time at the time of the integration, it was you move the Spanish out and you get the English in. It was supposed to be a 20%, 80%. 20%, 80% is not integration. 20% and 80% is substitution. You're substituting the one from the other. And that's what happened with the 65th in there. In fact, it was supposed to be 20%.
And who did in that integration or substitution? Who did the heavy lifting, the heavy work, the heavy fighting? How did that work? How did that work? You were in a leadership position. How did that happen?
It's not a question of fighting for anything. You get the instructions from Washington, and Washington says integration, and that's the way you're going to do it.
Right. So
there comes, and the only person that was connected to the president is his son that happened to be in G3 in division headquarters, and that was very fast. In 1 month, Puerto Ricans were out, English speaking were in, and by one of those things in life, they kept me
at the 65th.
At the 65th as Sergeant Major until November 1953.
Wow. And what was your last day in Korea with the 65th? How did that go? What was that?
Well, it was not exactly the last day. It was the last day of combat. We had replaced what was left of the First Rock Division.
First Rock Division?
The First Rock Division.
That means the Republic of Korea Division.
Republic of Korea Division. The Chinese came over and wiped the place,
Mm-hmm.
Got rid of the Korean Division. So the 65th that was going into reserve was turned around and come back to replace whatever was left of the Korean Division.
Of the Korean Division in
That's right.
of the South Korea, right?
That's right, and that's where Lieutenant Cavazos, that everybody knows him now, he's a general,
Mm-hmm.
was involved, and where he became a very important individual.
So he was involved in the leadership, or he was working, or
He was a company commander. He was involved in leadership,
Mm-hmm.
and there were many casualties that they couldn't. How you call it? They were left behind, and then he decided to go back and get him, and he did. It's one of the things we sometimes we talk about the 65th, but on that occasion, the 65th, they have just a few Puerto Ricans
By the end of the war.
by the end of the year.
By the end of the war.
Uh,
Wow. But the beginning of the war, it was totally 100%
At the beginning of the war, it was 100% Puerto Ricans.
for sure.
Except some officers, because there were some Puerto Rican officers also.
So you were still in Puerto Rico at the beginning of the war. You were still in Puerto Rico at the beginning of the war, or did you at the beginning of the war did you go with the 65th?
No, when the beginning of the war in Korea,
Uh-huh.
I was in the office of the U.S. Army Reserves.
Mhm.
What we have been doing was recruiting for the U.S. Army Reserves, that in turn turned to be the first 1,400 that we have gone to active duty on the week of the 24th of June 1952.
1952 or 1950?
They go 1950.
Right.
1950.
So you at the beginning of the war you were with the reserves recruiting personnel.
Recruiting personnel, because we didn't have any enlisted personnel in the reserves. All we had was officers. So we started enlisted, and then when the war came up here in Korea, that's when we called the first 1,400.
Uh-huh.
And by July 12, 1953, we were assigned, or were attached to the 65th Infantry Regiment.
So you started with the 65th Infantry, and then you were transferred to other assignments to support reserves and other units, and then boom, finally when things got straightened out, you went back into Korea. You went to Korea to serve as a sergeant major.
Well, I was actually attached to the 65th when the war broke in Korea,
Oh.
and we stayed attached to the 65th until finally I was reassigned to Korea.
So when the war, okay, got it. So when the war started, you stayed back in Puerto Rico recruiting personnel.
Working for the 65th.
Yes, got it. Oh,
For
I
the
got it.
65th.
But you were stateside recruiting and bringing in.
Right.
Perfect.
And then finally go to Korea, assigned to the 7th
Yeah. I see.
Infantry Regiment, and I was there for 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, I was transferred to the 65th.
I mean, 65 years ago, people were launching, going up hills, and now we're here 65 years later, 65 or 66 years later, getting ready to do this unveiling of ceremony. It's been a long time. I mean, older than me for sure. I mean, my own story to this is that on September the 24th, 1952, Manuel Rios Ortiz from Las Marias was killed in action in Korea in one of those battles in 1952. So that would have to be in Kelly Hill then. I mean, September 24th, 1952, that's when he was killed.
Let me tell you, there were quite a few hills there. They happened to be working. And I was not involved in combat. I was a sergeant major, of course. But there was a lot of fighting. And the 65th was the best. And I don't see why, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I don't see why the 65th, after being the best in Korea, have doing whatever they had to do, there comes the integration, and all of a sudden the 65th is out.
Well, I guess they didn't have a vision. They didn't have the vision that we've seen today. So they had no vision.
As well.
That's the way it is. They had no vision because we're still standing, and you're right here, living proof of
But
it.
regarding my birthday,
Yeah.
okay, this was a table for the birthdays.
Right here. Are we sitting right here?
Right here.
Very good.
And this year, I don't know what's going to happen.
Well, I know this year, if you keep good health, we keep the pressure. You're gonna be climbing up the Capitol Hill, and we're gonna honor you there, and we're gonna have a good time, and then we're gonna have a celebration, and you're gonna be a part of it, and you're gonna be able to. We're gonna be celebrating your birthday right there.
That'll be wonderful. I appreciate that very much.
You know,
Because
we love you so much.
And I happen to be the senior enlisted Borinqueneer for the 65th Infantry.
That's an honor. That is a blessing.
That's. I mean, I feel honored. I feel it was something that doesn't happen to everybody. As a matter of fact, after I returned from Korea, I received the Bronze Star.
Okay.
That was awarded to me, and the certificate and the citation were given to me at the headquarters at Fort Brooke.
It says here.
And
The Bronze Star Medal meritoriously. Master Sergeant José E. Colón, Infantry Headquarters and Headquarters Company, 65th Infantry Regiment, 3rd Infantry Division, United States Army, is cited for meritorious service in connection with military operations against an armed enemy in Korea during the period 23rd November 1952 to 22 November 1953. Sergeant Colón, serving as a unit administrator and later as a sergeant major, performed his duties in a superior manner. In fulfilling his many administrative responsibilities, he displayed aggressive leadership qualities, adept resourcefulness, and a comprehensive understanding of military procedures. Jesus Christ. And you're 97, you're going to be 97 years to celebrate that.
when I'm going to be 97, if so help me God, I always think that everything for us is by the grace of God.
It also says here, his tireless effort and cheerful enthusiasm in coordinating the various operations of his units were instrumental in maintaining the high morale and effectiveness of his unit despite frequent movements and adverse conditions.
You have to go to Korea and be there to know what it is.
Many people brag, but it's on paper here. His exceptional organization ability and unwavering determination in completing all assignments contributed materially to the success of the regiments in combat. Wow. I just read those things.
Well, you have to do. There is no way out.
With a good attitude, I guess.
Yes, there is no choice.
You got God and a good attitude.
There's no choice.
Sergeant Colón's outstanding skills, initiative, untiring devotion to duty reflects great credit upon himself, the military service. And he entered service from Puerto Rico. That's a lifestyle.
It was my life. If you think about it, it was my life. And but anyway,
I'm so proud to be here. I can't believe it. I'm just like, this is a lucky day.
I don't know how a nation that you have people like Puerto Ricans who were in the 65th, it was the best regiment, how it happens that they just eliminated the regiment.
Who eliminated the regiment?
Well, it was the army.
Right. But we're going to tell them a different story. And
Many stories. Senor. Thank you.
We got more to say. The story's not over. This is just a phase, a milestone. We have so much to do.
Es que yo te digo una cosa. Mira, yo hablando, I'm talking here with you, and I'm just in Korea.
You're still there.
Yeah, just in Korea.
But these people, they say that the Korean was the forgotten war. Who in their right mind has the ability to think that way when Korea is still alive right now in our hearts, and many more veterans that cannot forget. I mean,
there is something you cannot forget. You cannot forget. Now, I'm Catholic.
Thank you. Amen.
And I have a picture that was not published. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a picture of a priest using, on the first day of January 1953, using the hood of a jeep as the altar.
The hood of a jeep.
The hood.
He was preaching from the hood of a jeep.
No, he was using as an altar.
Oh, the jeep. Oh, yeah.
The jeep. And you see those Puerto Ricans kneeling on the snow. That is faith.